What is up, everybody? Welcome back into Hawk Talk on Melrose. I am Collin, joined today with Tyler. Did not think we were going to do this, but we thought after last night's 101-69 win over Robert Morris, Iowa men's basketball, first win for Coach Ben McCollum, we thought let's just hop on the mic and talk about it day after, because it went honestly exactly as planned. Like what we were hoping was going to happen, it happened, right? And we're going to kind of just go through it all, starting from the very beginning of the game. But yes, we're recording this on Wednesday, day after. We got another game coming up here on Friday night against Western Illinois. And then we got obviously the huge football game on Saturday against Oregon. So I said on the last episode, it's a good time to be a Hawkeye and exciting days ahead for us as Hawkeye fans. So Tyler, before we really get into it, what are your initial thoughts from last night?
Yeah, I think the big thing, and I think it jumped out right away, was just the start that this Iowa team went on, right?
Yeah.
I think it was like a 17-2 run to start the game. The energy, the effort defensively specifically was, amazing, again, from the jump. And everything that we had kind of hoped to see with this new Iowa men's basketball team under Ben McCollum was exactly what we saw to start that game. And so that was the biggest thing that I think that I took away from this game, is just the effort and intensity on defense, guys flying around, diving after loose balls, defense turning into offense, which was something we have rarely seen under past Iowa teams under Fran. And so that's my biggest takeaway, is just the energy and effort I saw consistently last night.
Not just by the players, but the energy from our main man, the head coach.
It's true.
Right? Because, under Fran, it was just the same old hands in his pockets. The only time he would get pissed is to the refs. And so you saw the energy by Ben for his players, but then also for the crowd. They had a moment where he was trying to pump up the crowd and get the crowd going. And I do want to let's start actually there first, and then we'll get into the game, because I feel like we're going to forget about it. I did think the crowd was pretty good. I mean, I think over 9,000 were in attendance, which I don't think is bad. We're not going to go from 0 to 100. And I think Ben really wants to get to there, but it's going to take some time, unfortunately. But I thought for a Tuesday night game, 7:30 against Robert Morris, I thought it was a pretty good crowd. Could have been better, maybe, but that's just going to take time. It's going to probably take us, to being consistently good for us to really get that place sold out, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But I thought the crowd was pretty good. I think Ben at the end or in his presser talked about, he wants to see people standing up more, right? Getting more into the game. And I have nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is,
yelling and screaming.
Yeah, you go to Carver and it's kind of, unless you're in big moments, it does get kind of quiet, right? And people are just sitting there, and it's like watching a play. And it's like, no, let's make it like Kinnick, where it's hostile every single moment, not just in the big moments, right? But yes, let's get into the game now. I thought the first thing was the starting lineup. I mean, I was blown away seeing the starting lineup of, well, obviously three of them was pretty obvious: Cam Manning, Tavion Banks, and Bennett Sturts. But then seeing Isaiah Howard and Cooper Koch start, very surprising, because I think we all thought it was going to be Alvaro and Brennan Howson, and it wasn't. But I can see why this was a starting five, though, because Isaiah Howard, man, he flies around. He's going to be a pretty good player for us. Is he going to light the world on fire on offense? Probably not, but you see his energy on defense. It's like, there's a reason why Ben probably loves him, and there's a reason why he is starting over a guy like Alvaro or Brennan Howson. And then Cooper Koch, which is just crazy to think that he's only a redshirt freshman. I mean, he was the one guy from the France system that came over. He was a 4-star, right? So he was a highly rated guy. And I mean, you saw yesterday what his potential is as well. So, yes, I was very shocked by the starting five, but then watching how the game started, and you just mentioned up 17-2, flying around, effort, intensity, I can see why Ben chose his starting five.
I think I saw a tweet. I don't know who it was by. I wish I would have kept it, but it was a kind of a just good point. It's like, the starting five included 4 Drake guys and the one guy that stuck with this program, and didn't transfer out, and that's Cooper Koch. And so just I give, Ben a lot of credit for that lineup because it worked, man. Like from the jump, it worked really well. And you made a good point about Isaiah Howard. I think some of these Drake guys, especially, I know it's Robert Morris, but it's still their first game in sort of this big moment. And they all, top to bottom, really, really played well, I thought, across the board.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows if this will be the starting five every single game.
He talked about it being different potentially. They don't know yet. So.
Did he? So I didn't have the chance because I was gone. I didn't have the chance to actually listen to the presser closely.
Yeah. But. He just mentioned that it could be matchup based. It could be, just trying different things out, especially early on in the season. He doesn't know exactly. He talked about the one thing that he really enjoyed from watching his team last night was guys like, Brendan Housen, for example. Maybe he didn't play as much as maybe we all thought. And a lot of that wasn't actually, according to him, due to like injury. He said it was more matchup based and guys actually buying into that and actually cheering on their other, teammates.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see.
That sort of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. That is really cool to see. And I just thought like last night, like when you look at the numbers, we were just very efficient. Like everybody was efficient for us last night. We shot the ball 62% and then 47% from the 3-point line. And last night, granted, it's against Robert Morris, but it shows that we don't have to rely on the three, right? We only shot 15 3-pointers. And we were very efficient because when we did shoot the three, they were good looks. It wasn't just jacking up threes. I feel like the only three that you could say we just jacked up was Brendan Housen's at the end when he just did it to do it. And he obviously, and he made it. But other than that, like every three was because we were open. It was an efficient shot and we shot 47%. And once again, everybody just did their part. I mean, you talk your boy, the X Factor that you said on the last podcast, Tavion Banks. What a stud, right? 17 points for him. He was just all over. When you think Ben McCollum and his system and wanting guys to play with a lot of energy, that is a guy that you think of.
How about Tavion Banks, who's 6'7", coming out and guarding the starting point guard for Robert Morris?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about versatility on the defensive end. Talk about the fact that, when you think of like Ben McCollum and you think of physicality and toughness, like the amount of impactful dunks he had on offense and catching lobs and just running the floor, like you said, doing it all. And he's the athlete that I feel like Iowa basketball has been missing for a really long time.
And we can't forget about our main guy, our All-American Bennett Sturts. First game of the season, you might have some jitters, big moment, first time, in a Hawkeye uniform. And didn't phase him at all. 19 points, had a couple threes. Defensively, he was all over. I mean, yeah, you could talk about the offense, but just watch his defense. His defense is incredible.
And he started out perfect from the field. And once they started kind of guarding him a little bit more, he just became a facilitator and had like 6 assists, defensively 4 steals. I mean, dude, like he's as advertised. And I think the surprising thing for everybody, I'm sure that watched that game, is the guy can actually catch an alley-oop dunk as well. So he's got some hops.
How many dunks did we have last night? I mean, it was incredible how many dunks.
A lot. Yeah, it's Dunk City.
It was awesome
in Iowa City last night. Yeah.
Yep. And then I do want to bring up Alvaro Figueres. We just talked about obviously how he came off the bench for us, but he was another guy off the bench that was very efficient. Had 11 points for us, knocked down 3 3-pointers, pretty much made it almost every shot that he took. Had 5 rebounds, had a couple assists. That was a guy going back to our last episode. You had Tavion Banks as your X Factor. I had Alvaro Figueres as my X Factor because I just thought, given what he can all do, rebound, pass the ball, shoot the ball, he's kind of lengthy. I just said, if he can have a good year, I think we can go pretty far and we can have a really good season.
Yep.
If he can do those things. And last night was a good first game despite coming off the bench for us. And then Brendan Housen, I mean, I thought it was maybe because he was a little banged up, but you just said that it was just more matchup and because at one point in the second half, I texted you and I was like, man, we're putting up close to 100 points without, our arguably our best 3-point shooter. Yeah. And he only played, I think he played 14 minutes total yesterday. I mean, he barely played in the first half, and then he played more in the second half. But he finished with 10 points. I mean, so despite only playing 14 minutes, he finished with 10 points for us. And just across the board, offensively, because that was the thing I was probably the most nervous going into last night was, okay, how will our offense look? I feel good about the defense. How will our offense look in the first game? And we put up 101 points as if Fran McCaffrey's still the coach, right? And that's great because defensively, Fran McCaffrey's not the coach. So when you put up 101 points with Ben, with the defense, and Robert Morris is not a horrible, this is a team that made the tournament last year, right? So it's not like it's a really, really dog shit team. I mean, they're not good, but it's not like they're really towards the bottom. We were only 22.5 point favorite. You see some of the lines out there, some of these teams are 30, 35 point favorites, now like 22 points. And so to be able to just completely dominate that game, and we'll get now into maybe some of the cons, some of, what we saw that we didn't really like. And one of them was the 3-point shooting by them in the second half. And you take away that, they went 10 for 13. You take away some of those threes. I mean, we would have dominated. I mean, we would have won even more, 101 to 55. That was probably the biggest thing was that, but I would have to go back and rewatch the game if it was more like, okay, were we just not in position there in the second half in some of those moments, or was it just them just knocking down and, just being hot from the 3-point line? So that, and then rebounding. And I think Ben, I did catch that. One of the things he said in the presser, he obviously wasn't too happy about the rebounding. They did finish with 13 offensive rebounds. We only had 10, but that was probably just the other thing that I would say if you had to grade last night, it was their 3-point shooting in the second half and then their rebounding in general.
And Ben talked about him not being too overly concerned about the lack of rebounding. He admitted it was atrocious. It was horrible. And especially in the second half. But he said, that's kind of a strength of theirs is the team rebounding. And so he expects that to be better as long as this doesn't continue. But, I do think, that lack of maybe a big 5-man, maybe, is that something that could haunt us down the road when we talk about pacing some of these Big Ten teams that have that type of guy.
That have, a 7'3" guy and things like that. Yeah, for sure. So other than that though, but defensively, especially that first half, I mean, it was really good. It was good. It was as good as advertised. And how do we know that? Because if you look at the turnovers for Robert Morris, they had 23 turnovers last night, and we had where was that here?
I think it was
11 steals that we had. So we were flying all over the board, and it was just as Iowa fans so refreshing. I mean, the beginning of the game, the crowd was getting so into it because it was like, man, we have not seen this for forever, right? And that's what's just makes me so excited about this team and the potential that this team has. And once again, I don't want to get too carried away here. We're not jumping on this podcast and thinking that we're going to make the Final Four now just because we looked pretty good last night, right? But we're doing it because, man, like you see the potential.
We already talked about it basically, but like how refreshing was it to just see us be able to play man-to-man defense basically the whole night? Did we even play zone once?
I don't know.
Think of how many times under Fran when we couldn't guard our guy, we'd like go to that zone defense because it was just our way of being like, well, we can't guard one-on-one, so we got to play zone because that's our only option. Like the effort level, the physicality, toughness, all that like we said, it's just such a breath of fresh air, and it's hard not to get excited about this team going forward. Like that's the thing. Like I agree with you. It's like I'm not jumping on here and saying we're making the Sweet 16, but it is hard to not get excited about what this team could be this year.
And then one last thing I want to mention is a free throw shooting, because I think that was another thing going into the year that maybe we were a little concerned about. Just given if you look at like Drake's free throw shooting last year, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. But we shot 82% last night, which isn't bad. 36 for 44. But maybe that's another con about last night's game. And it's not so much us. The ref, it was just a ref show. It was starting to actually kind of annoy me in the second half. like every single possession
50,
they called a foul.
50 plus fouls for, total, like, is insane, dude.
It was very annoying. And this is what I love about Ben is he never got like upset by it. Damn well Fran would be just, he probably would have got a T last night.
Yeah,
he probably would have got a T last night with all the fouls. But it was what it was. It sucked, but it was what it was. But we shot 44 free throws last night and we made 36. Yep. So that's really good. That's something that's a winning number right there, shooting 82%. And so I want to obviously continue to see that. But yeah, other than that, I think we touched on literally everything about last night's game from the jump to the end, the intensity, right? The second half, it definitely, defensively, it definitely took a step back a little bit, but that's kind of expected when you're, because they put up 43 points the second half, which is a lot more than they did in the first half. They only put up 26 points, and really a lot of their 26 points in the first half came towards the end of the half because I think they had 2 points with 8 minutes into the game or 10 minutes into the game.
It was So the only thing I was going to say is we talked about, you brought up the free throw percentage, you brought up the field goal percentage, which was I think 62%, like you said, and 3-point was 47. We talked about the lack of shooting and, in those scrimmages, right? The 3-ball was not falling. We were told in the scrimmage. The free throws, we weren't shooting very well by all accounts. And so to see us be efficient in this first game was really good. And I think that's why we were a little nervous with what we were expecting with this offense. And they blew us, my expectations out of the water. So
the last episode that we did, the preview episode for this season, that was one thing I was a little nervous about was the offense and how long will it take to kind of gel and things like that. But last night was a good first game.
Ben's X's and O's in the half court are gonna look a lot better. Than I think when it was under Fran. For sure.
Yep, we have a wizard as a head coach, and I love that, and a guy that just gets fired up, and that's what I love. So. Well, we'll see how they look this Friday against Western Illinois. Obviously, the hope is that we continue kind of that momentum from last night. I would assume, I would have to really look here, but I would assume Western Illinois is way worse than Robert Morris is. I think they actually probably are. They're 0-1. I did look at that. They're 0-1. They lost to some team I've never heard of, like last night or something. So, if we play like we did last night, this should be a even bigger win in my books. But we'll see. And then what's nice is we get a full week off. And then we play Xavier next Friday. So we get a full week to really hash things out, see, get better at certain areas. And then the Xavier game, even though Xavier is not a great team, I saw that last night they almost lost to some bad team. It's still going to be a tough challenge, though, because you're talking a Big East team coming into Carver, but the atmosphere should be great, and we're going to that game, and I'm really excited about it. All right, well, we will end it there. I thought like a week ago, I was planning on doing like an Oregon preview episode, but it is what it is. I'm still super excited and super pumped for football, but last night just got me really excited about basketball, so I kind of wanted to do that instead. But the football game this weekend is going to be huge. We're 20th in the playoffs, so it's a top 20 matchup against Oregon. Weather's not looking great, unfortunately, but it is what it is, I guess. You just got to take it what it is, but I'm really looking forward to that game, and what a huge opportunity for Iowa to change the narrative, right? Because the national narrative for this Iowa team, and I get it, it's been offense been so bad and can't beat ranked teams and all that. I get it, but we have the biggest opportunity, and it's right in front of us inside Kinnick Stadium to change that and to continue on. Because when you're 20th in the playoffs, that is the committee telling you, hey, all you have to do is continue winning, and you're in at 20th. So we have everything in front of us, and it starts this Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, well, we will end it there. Thank you guys for listening, and go Hawks.